Mr. Rick Stockstill.
All right, appreciate, like Mark said, everybody being here, especially you guys from Nashville. I appreciate you driving over here. Been really, really pleased with our camp so far. The guys have worked extremely hard. They've competed at a high level every day. I'm anxious to see this team play, to see them perform. I think they've got a great sense of urgency about them. I think there's a great edge to them. There's still that bitter taste in our mouth in how we finished last year. And I know I'm anxious. I know these players are anxious to get this season started and get cranked up. Looking forward to the challenge this week of competing against Jackson State. Harold Jackson, this is his second year there. He's done a nice job with that program. They've got a new defensive coordinator. Their offensive coordinator is Timmy Chang, the old Hawaii quarterback. I shouldn't say old Hawaii quarterback, the ex-Hawaii quarterback that threw it around for a bunch of yards a few years ago. And then Alonzo Lee, their new defensive coordinator. So in any time in a first game, there's always speculation. There's always the unknown of what you're going to get, what you're going to see. Just because it's the first game, you haven't seen them, you don't know personnel-wise the changes that they've made and things of that nature. So, but looking forward to playing against them. And again, it's all about us. It's about our team and preparing as well as we can to play Jackson State. So I really like our team. I think we've got some really, really good leaders on this team. I think there's guys that are hungry to play better than what they played last year. And I know our seniors, they're anxious to go out and have a good note. We've got an extremely difficult, challenging schedule, but we'll worry about that as each game comes along. And I'm just excited to play this Jackson State game. So with that, I'll open up to any questions that you have.
Coach, Aldo Amato, Daily News Journal. Who's going to take the first snap under center for Jackson State?
You know, I know that's been a topic of interest this summer. I think it's probably that way at a lot of colleges that have had quarterback competition there. And I said it going into the spring last year, and this goes for every position on our team. You know, when you finish the way we did, it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. And I'm not blaming any player or any players. It was my fault. But I told the guys in January when we came back that I don't care if you're a 3-year starter, a 2-year starter, whatever, every position was open for competition. And I believe that. And I'll sit here and I'll say the same thing next year in January, that I believe in competition. I believe what you did yesterday doesn't matter, that you've got to improve and you've got to earn it every day. And so we opened up every position. We've got several new starters at other positions as well. But evaluating the quarterbacks in every probably over 25,000 snaps from last spring through this spring, and evaluating everything they did, and talking to the offensive coaches and everybody, we made a decision. We're going to start Brent. He's going to be our starter. Both of those guys, both he and Austin, will play. You know, so, but when we evaluated everything from a production standpoint, everything, we felt that Brent earned the right to start.
What's one thing MTSU fans and should know about Jackson State? You mentioned Timmy Chang and their team that likes to throw it around a lot, and about their opposing quarterback, Lamontes Ivy.
Well, anytime, fans, you know, they just see the name. They hear a name. They don't see the players on that team until they show up in the stadium. But Jackson State is a really good football team, and it's not coach speak. I'm not Lou Holt sitting up here saying that, they're the greatest team in the world. They're a good football team. They've got good players. Their quarterback threw for over 3,000 yards last year, 22 touchdowns, I think. They've got a receiver that caught more than 1,000 yards, receiving yards. Yeah, I think he had 73 catches. They've got two excellent defensive ends that, in the way they're labeled, I think they're moving them to linebackers. Watching them on tape, they're athletic. It's an athletic team. They can run. So this will be a good football team coming in here. And Harold Jackson played in the NFL for 17 years. Like I said, Alonzo Lee is a well-respected defensive coordinator. And then offensively, what they do, they spread you out and try to get you in space and make plays with their athleticism. So our fans and our team will expect a very well-coached team and an excellent football team coming in here.
Kind of looking at the defensive side of the ball a little bit. Obviously, Brent's going to start for quarterback, but looking at Jeremy Cotrier and the progress he's made since he's gotten here, is he going to be a day one starter as well?
Yes, Bones has done a nice job. I shouldn't say Bones. Jeremy's done a nice job in the 3 weeks that he's been here. We've got another week here. He's an extremely athletic corner. He's done a nice job since he's been here, and right now he'll start the first game as well.
Talking about injuries, Darius Johnson, will he be playing?
I think, and Mark can correct me, I'm not going to talk about injuries coming in here every Monday and talk about that. I think we're going to announce it on Thursdays, and I'm going to be like the NFL and just say probable, questionable, or doubtful. But Darius is doubtful.
Coach, when you started camp, you talked about the receiver position. You were looking for leaders there, and several new names have jumped up. Some folks have changed positions. How do you feel about the receiver position now, and in particular from a leadership role that you were looking for?
I think they've done a nice job. I think Ed has had a good camp. I think Richie James continues to get better every day. Demetrius Frazier is a guy that's been very consistent and has made plays. CC missed a little bit last week, and I thought CC was probably having his best camp since he'd been here. He is in great shape. He's making plays. He was playing fast. Then we just got some younger guys that we've got to bring on. Duck's got to come on. Ty Clemens has got to come on. Some guys like that. But from a production standpoint, they've been very consistent. I think Coach Burns has done a nice job with those guys. The leadership, that'll come. It's continuing to build. There's not a bell cow right now, but I've been very pleased with the progress that those guys have made in camp so far.
Can you talk about that depth at running back this year and how much you guys will rely on those three backs?
Well, we've taken a hit, obviously, at the running back position. We're not near as deep as what we were 3 weeks ago. But we've got three running backs who I feel could start at a lot of teams across the country. And they're very selfless players. They've got a wonderful attitude. Jordan Parker and Jeremiah Bryson are both seniors. Shane Tucker is a junior. They push each other in practice. They compete against each other in practice. All three of them are a little bit different from a skill set standpoint, but they're very similar in other aspects. And it doesn't matter, they'll all three play a bunch because you've got to have them. You've got to have running backs in this day and time. And they're really, really talented. All three of those guys are talented. And I think Jeremiah, who's here and he'll talk, from January to now, the end of August, I think he's improved as much as anybody we have. He's in great shape. He understands the position extremely well. He's not a liability in any facet of the game, whether it's pass protection, receiving, or carrying the ball, and that's the same with Jordan and Shane. They can all play every down. They can play without the ball. They're good in protection. They're good in the passing game, and obviously they're good running the ball. So I've got a lot of respect for those guys, probably as much as how they handle their position, because everybody wants to be the guy, and those three guys are very selfless and great teammates, and all they care about is helping this team win.
Kind of going off of Otto's question about the running backs, but talking about the guys blocking in front of them, looking at the freshmen, Chandler Brewer and Josh Fannin, what are their roles going to be coming into this season, given they had those increased reps in camp?
Chandler, I was trying to think back in my coaching career, and I'm sure we've had somebody, but for an offensive lineman to be starting as a true freshman the first game, I don't know if I've ever had that happen. Had true freshmen play, but here's a guy that's going to – you got a phone call, Aldo. To have a true freshman plays, it's a testament to how hard he's worked this summer, testament to how his commitment, even before he got here, preparing when he got here in July. He's a very good football player and has a chance to have a very good career in front of him. So right now, I don't know how much Josh is going to play, but Chandler, obviously, he's going to start and play a bunch.
Coach, at the end of fall camp, was there one player that really set himself apart, that really raised your eyebrows? And on the other side of the coin, was there one player that you really wanted to see more out of? I think defensively, Darius Harris has really improved. He started showing flashes in the spring, and I think he's had a really good camp. He's playing fast. He's starting to understand the defense. And I hate doing this because I know there's somebody else that I'm leaving out. But somebody I'm disappointed in. Now, there's nobody I'm disappointed in. If you're disappointed in somebody, you're disappointed that they got hurt and they're not able to fulfill their dream of playing. That's what you hate. When somebody gets hurt, it breaks your heart inside, whether it's an ankle injury or a season-ending injury. Those things they hurt you as a coach. So. But I think Darius Harris has stood out. There's been some others, obviously, but he comes to mind.
How much do you think this Jackson State team, because they do throw it around a lot, will be your first test for Conference USA play?
I'd say since it's the first game, not being a smart aleck, it's going to be our first test. And, we got to play. It's not about – the defensive line has to do their job. The linebackers have to do their job. The secondary has to do their job in stopping the run. They all got to do that. The defensive line has to do their job. The linebackers in the secondary have to do their job in stopping the pass. And they're an explosive team. They're going to make plays. You know, that's going to happen. You know, I just want to see us go out there and compete and play smart, and control the things we can. Don't give up big plays because we busted an assignment. Don't have a bunch of missed tackles because fundamentally you weren't right. You weren't prepared. You weren't you didn't do the things necessary that you have to do fundamentally. So that's what you look for. The kicking game, you guys know, everybody knows. We got to be sound in the kicking game. The first couple games of the year, you watch whoever plays, you know, Thursday night. I don't know if there's a Friday night game, Saturday games. There's going to be a lot of games determined these first couple games of the season because of the kicking game. So we've got to be great in the kicking game as well.
Coach, back to the quarterback situation. Could you give us some specifics, some things that Brent handled better than Grammer that led you to the decision to go with Brent?
You know, that's a good question. And a lot of times I don't think just because a guy is a starter, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean the second team guy did bad or didn't do good enough, because Austin had a good camp. You know, and I don't really want to get into specifics of, you know, this or that, but just overall, when we looked at the total production, you know, from as minute as throwing on air to the scrimmages to everything we did, all the different situations, we just felt that Brent was more productive in our evaluation process. And it's nothing that Austin didn't do this, Austin didn't do that, or Brent did this or that. You know, when we reviewed the overall picture of camp and spring practice, we just felt that he was more productive.
As I watch you, I know it's probably not an easy thing for you because he's your son, and there are going to be people out there who have that perception, oh, he went with his son. Is it difficult to make this decision in any way because of that perception?
The thing, no, to answer your question, no, the thing I dislike the most about Brent being here, I don't talk to him, you know. I talk to Cape, Jeremiah, I talk to everybody else but him, you know. Now I coach him on the field, but no, I've been in this business a long time. There's a lot of people that, you know, you don't make decisions based on that. And this is, lack of a better word, this is big boy football. And I'm going to put, no matter if it's a quarterback, wide receiver, whoever, I'm going to put the best player out there that gives us the best opportunity to win. And I know, you know, there's going to be people out there that say, you know, that we can win them all, we can win every game, and somebody's going to not like the decisions that I make. We can, you know, whatever. You can't please everybody. And I don't worry about trying to please everybody. Every decision I make is what I think is best for this team. And not best for the individual, best for the team. And I'll always put the team first. And if anybody has any remote question, doubt about that, they're dead wrong.
Going into the Jackson State game, is there a game plan set for how many snaps Brent will get as opposed to how many snaps Austin will get, or is it just kind of?
You know, I've been places where the head coach told the quarterback or the running back or whoever that you're going to go in on the third series or the fifth series or the second, and things change and it doesn't happen, okay? And I don't want to be that coach that says, hey, you're going in on the 25th play and you don't, because I'm never going to lie to our players. So, no, there's not a set plan. You know, both of them will play. I'll tell you that, but I don't want to get into on Monday and say that this is how it's going to work, because things can change there throughout the course of the game.
Would you call it a two-quarterback system?
I don't know what a two-quarterback system is. Would you call it a 3 running back system? I'm just asking. I don't, I've been, when I was with Coach Spurrier, we rotated quarterbacks every play in a game. When I was at Florida State with Coach Bowden, we had 2 quarterbacks that played. One played maybe 3/4 of this game, and the other one played a quarter. The next game, might have been the other way around. Both of them are going to play, and I don't know what a 2 quarterback system is.
Does Buster Faulkner's system change at all with Brent at quarterback?
No, it's and if you came to watch our scrimmages, if you watched our practice, Austin would go this series, Brent would go the next. Brent would go this series, Austin. I mean, we rotated them equally with the 1s and the 2s, and plays don't change.
Looking at the defense, there's a lot of juniors and seniors. It's all upperclassmen almost that are going to start. Do you envision a more dominant year for them, I guess you could say?
Like I said earlier, I'm anxious to watch this team play. You look at last year's team, last year's defense, there was a lot of first-year players, first-year guys playing. Now we've got guys that have played, a second year. So you hope the experiences that they gained last year playing and then spring practice and then this August that, that we improve individually and collectively as a team. So, I think our defense will, I think we'll be better than we were last year.
Coach, you said earlier about how the team still has that bitter taste in its mouth. Do you like that? Do you like the fact that they have not forgotten and that could really motivate them this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love it. As a coach, you never want to sense that your team has that air of entitlement, or that they're not hungry. They don't have an edge. They don't have a chip on their shoulder. And, there's a lot of reasons or a lot of things that motivate players and teams. And, we had an opportunity last year to do some things there towards the end of the year that we didn't do. And, so I talked about it in January. I talked about it in the spring. I talked about it in August, that taste is still there. And until we tee off against Jackson State, it's not going to come out. So I think our team has embraced that, and they understand and they know the feelings that we had last year. And they know the challenges of this schedule that we have and how much better that we have to play this year than we did last year.
These are early season games where you see Division I teams playing Division II teams or mid-major teams playing super conference teams. A lot of times they get the stigma of a warm-up game. What would you, how would you approach someone saying that Jackson State is a warm-up game for you?
They're not a coach or they're not a player. They're a fan. I mean, yes, who are we? Who are we? I guarantee you, who's ever playing whoever, they didn't give us a W already. We got to go out and earn it. And this isn't, only warm-up games I know are what the Titans are doing. They get those 4 preseason games. Those are warm-up games. We don't get, every game counts. Every game's critical. When you're a coach and when you're a player, you don't look at anything but this is the most important game on our schedule. Good. Thanks. Oh, and last, I want to say that, and this is more local, I just want the Mason Loop and his family to know that we as a football staff and football team, that we're praying for you. Our hearts and prayers go out to you and your family. So I hope you pull through this thing. Thank you.